Hi, everybody, and welcome to Astrospeak for February 22nd of 2024. I'm Sue Hillyard, and I'm here with your host, Michaela Villiers-Kendall. And today we're joined by Jordyn Smith. Hey, Jordyn.
Hi.
Lin Ewing. Hi, Lin. Bradley
Hi.
Naragon.
Hi.
Hey, Bradley. And
Hello.
possibly Nia Filer may join us, and Ryan Evans. And of course, Robin Grabfelder is here as well. So what we thought we would start with today was kind of a current event thing with Alexei Navalny's death. And he was murdered, shall we say. I mean, it was the result of his being incarcerated in the Arctic Circle after being poisoned, etc.
Mhm.
So this chart here is because I didn't have a birth time and I did have a time of death, I decided to put the death chart as the main focus. So that's on the inside wheel. And then his noon chart is on the outside wheel. And Michaela and I were kind of brainstorming this the other day, and I can't remember exactly how it came about, but I do remember you said something about Navalny may end up being Putin's nemesis. And I said, aha, I think there's an asteroid. I know there's an asteroid named Nemesis. Let's see where it is. And that just started, that started the conversation. So
Yeah, amazing.
you
So
want to
where is the asteroid again?
Okay, so Nemesis. Okay, so over here is a little key of all the asteroids, and Nemesis is this one that looks like Taurus with a
That's
line
right.
to it.
Yeah.
So it
That
is
25 Cancer.
well,
Is it?
here's transiting Nemesis right here,
Oh, okay.
and it oh no, I'm sorry, this is Navalny's Nemesis,
Right.
That's him.
and opposite his Mars in Leo.
Wow.
And then the transiting, let's see, what did you say,
That
Cancer?
the ascendant. It looks
Oh yeah,
like.
right. It's right here. Yes, right here. So it's so he was, you know, about to have a nemesis return.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. And it's obviously the nodes, the nodes are right. His node axis.
Where's his notes?
Yeah, yeah. Amazing. In Scorpio. And that's where, yeah, you said, didn't you, Sue? Putin's Venus, I think, is at 11 Scorpio, isn't it?
It is. Mm-hmm.
And we'll have a look at that after. But
yeah.
so Putin's, wow, his Venus is conjunct Navalny's north node, and squared by the wow, nemesis, Navalny's nemesis.
And Mars.
Yeah.
Mars, of course. Wow. Yeah. Well, we were saying, weren't we, as you just said, he's like Putin's taken the bait. It's quite amazing. It's so touching, though, when you look at Navalny's chart like this, because I remember, when he went back to Russia, everyone was saying he was insane because he'd been poisoned. There was those awful shots of him on the plane. Yeah, screaming in agony from the poison that he'd got from poison. Putin had obviously done it.
Yeah, Novichok or whatever it was called.
Yeah, yeah. But then after being hospitalized in Germany, he actually he made that choice to go back to Russia. And you just thought, what is he doing? He's brave and he's a wonderful guy, but that's just suicidal.
On the other hand, oh, I'm sorry.
He had a mission.
But Yeah, well, the thing is that that's what I thought then. But then looking at this chart, it was really moving because
Mhm.
then you begin to see he made that choice.
That's his karmic choice at this point because he's got, the Mars to Nemesis, and then it forms a grand square with the nodes. So the nodes being so important in that grand square, this is his karma to do.
The
It was
thing
his
is that
plan.
he made
Yeah.
that choice consciously,
Yeah.
which is just incredible. To make a choice when you know that you're pretty almost, well, let's say you are certainly laying down your life.
Yeah.
Not
He
going to go
would
back.
know that for sure.
And he just had been in agony from the poison.
Mhm.
But he chose to do that. And then you think, well, that's insane. But then now you suddenly see, looking at his chart, he made that because he realized that was the only way that he could. It's no good staying on the outside because you thought, well, he should have stayed on the outside. He could have done more good, campaigning against Putin. But he knew full well there was only one way he could make a difference and bring him down. And that was by actually sacrificing himself.
Yeah,
That
I think
is
you made the point that he just martyred himself, which was the big mistake
Yeah,
that
for
that,
sure.
that Putin made
yeah.
the mistake of martyring him, basically.
Yes, but he took, I mean, Navalny made himself bait and Putin took it
Yeah.
like the big shark that he is. And yet Navalny has known full well that that was his fate and that his death would result in, and I looking at when he died with the huge Pluto, Mars, Venus conjunction just have happened, and the nodes as well. The North Node having conjuncted Chiron, the wounded healer. It's like the start of this chironic period when the North Nodes got to them, and that was just on the 19th, a couple of days ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Several days.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so it's
Right.
kicked off just 3 days after his death, 2 days. And it's obviously it's kicked off a whole sequence that he knew. And you'll go on to say more about his chart, and everyone else could pitch in.
I have something to say.
Everything adds up to having brought Putin down. It's just phenomenal.
Go Jordyn.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I know we didn't pull this up on here, but his natal Amazon is at 5 degrees Virgo.
Wow.
And
then
so like we know that that's like the warrior archetype that goes along with Mars as well. Like we usually see that when someone has a strong Amazon in their chart, they usually have a really strong Mars. And this soul has Mars squaring his nodal axis. And to me, like just to like emphasize what you guys are saying is he's definitely lived through this before. This is something where he's learning about what limits to do, and when we look at the transits, we can see that family is really emphasized whenever it comes to his own natal chart as well. Like that's something he's going to pick up his next lifetime. But that Amazon to me indicates like being a voice for the underdog, for the people who feel like they don't have a voice, right? And you're in this country that's oppressive by nature, being ran by a dictator, and you can see that he really is living out his purpose. And that his Mercury is conjunct his Jupiter. It's in this conversation with the South Node and this square to his Mars. So this is literally someone who's willing to die for what they believe in and has died for what they believe in.
Especially with a Scorpio North Node.
And check this out. His south node of Amazon is conjunct his north node of Scorpio. And his north node of Amazon is conjunct his natal Mercury. So we can see that this is like the past occurring in the present moment. And that Uranus retrograde on his north node approaching it, to me, speaks to like when we think of martyrdom, we definitely think of like Virgo, Libra kind of dynamics, but someone can become way larger in life after death with a Uranus signature, especially that's on that north node,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just
Really,
want to emphasize everything that you guys are saying. This is what I'm seeing.
that's
Like,
really
he
good.
fulfilled his karmic mission.
Mhm.
And I have a sneaking suspicion in his next lifetime, part of his stuff is going to be about really being able to be there for his family the next lifetime, because he's done his work. And that
Right.
Amazon can be about, especially it's conjunct his moon, sacrificing like stuff within his family dynamics, you know, in order to be this voice for the underdog, and being willing to die for what he believed in and what his own truths were that were helping, you know, the people, his nation, who he felt had different values than Putin. I just see it echoed all over his chart. But continue on. Sorry, I just wanted to
No,
emphasize
well
that.
done. No, that's great. Yeah. Yeah.
So one little thing I can add is that this asteroid here, Hybris, is among other things, it's about hubris, and
Huh?
to me, it you know, being, you know, conjunct Uranus and his, sorry,
That's exact too. Wow.
my circus phone. Sorry. Anyway, I think it just adds a little bit of
Yeah. And it's so exact, what you just said. Yeah.
yeah, it's so exact, and that, you know, that there may have been a little bit of overconfidence, and, you know, in his zeal to move forward. But
Yeah.
you know, I
And he did need that, you know.
yes, exactly what he needed to. I mean,
yeah. Because without that impetus, he had all that karmic duty, as he just said, Jordyn, to carry. He's going to need a lot of impetus to take that. So that really describes that really well.
Well, he also has his natal Neptune and Sag opposite his moon. I mean, his sun
that's
and
true.
Venus.
Yeah. And of course, the Pluto, Venus, Mars conjunction, it's squaring that. Wow. 3 degree, Mars exact 3 degrees, Aquarius. So that conjunction came along, and it's like, that's it. That's the moment. It's just
No, it's very true. You're talking
incredible.
about all this.
Yeah, the triple conjunction.
Yeah, going
Which squares that.
squaring
Wow.
squaring that. Yeah, yeah, and I mean, Uranus is, you know, revolution, and, you know, standing up and being different, and he definitely, you know, that was what he had to do. He had to be dramatic, or, you know, to garner attention,
Yeah.
with under the fear of being, you know, totally squelched.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and in Scorpio, as you say, because it's that it's the karmic duty, and it's a transformative, to be an agent of transformation.
You know,
And as you
that also with
And
Scorpio,
rebellion as well, because that's what result could come of this, inciting people. If, the example, it takes that, because the people of Russia, and they have such a history of having to sacrifice, but to see a man willing to lay down his life and take that choice so consciously to do it and withstand what he did, and show them as a shining example. If you want to change this, that's where you have to go. And it's triggered. It'd be interesting, to look at the US. We'll have to do that next time. Look at the USSR chart and the Russia's chart, and because it's triggered it. I'm sure it has.
Yeah.
well, I'm interested in looking at the scorpionic aspect of that North Node, which I believe he certainly has fulfilled, because with Scorpio, when it is intense, and a scorpionic intensity is, I will die if it's what I need to do to take you down. So I kind of look at what he did with, knowing what was going to happen with him if he went back to the I say the Soviet Union because it feels like it's back. But, to say, I'm taking you down, Putin, even if it means I have to be taken
That's
down
it.
with you.
That's
Yeah.
it. Exactly.
Well, I
Exactly.
was telling Sue this like before the show. Before he was murdered, I was actually watching the documentary Navalny on HBO Max about him. And the first thing that they ask him, like whenever it cuts to him, is they ask him, they were like, what do you want people to know if you're killed? And at the end of it, it cuts back to this, and he says, if I am killed, he said, it means that we won. It means that we're stronger than Putin thinks. And so, like, this is, I mean, even his words right there, I kind of have chills, like, talking about it.
Just when you said
know?
that, I thought the same
Yeah,
thing.
so you can see that he's really, and also his Lilith is retrograde on that north node, and it's ruled by his Pluto that's retrograde. Like, this was someone who was willing to expose
Yeah.
all of the injustices, like in all of the areas where it was, us versus them or inequalities. And then that's just further emphasized with his Amazon conjunct his moon. I find
Yeah.
his chart fascinating.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing.
Bradley, anything to add?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know if this was mentioned, but the Venus-Pluto conjunction squared his Chiron, and that Chiron's opposite the Uranus we've been talking about. So,
right. Of course. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Of course.
Oh,
Well observed. We were just watching the nodes all the time. We didn't notice that. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
well, yeah, and that's a big point because that's, I mean, that was the Jupiter
Yes.
Saturn
Yes.
conjunction, the big transition conjunction, and actually that was where the Venus Mars conjunction was last time. So I mean,
Right.
it's been a really hot.
Yeah, and that's such a potent, degree, not degrees of Taurus like that.
So with his Chiron in Taurus, Bradley, do you think that it has to do with his base survival?
yeah, well, I mean, okay. I mean, from the EA point of view, I guess like this is a question for the group is, like the whole idea that Mars squares the nodes and the resolution is the Taurus South node. But like, well, what does survival mean to him? Because like, because it seems like his action is more of the North Node Scorpio. So like, I don't understand his
And
psychology enough to.
Uranus and Scorpio. Yeah, in opposition.
Yeah, maybe it does have to do with that Uranus is configured with the North Node.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It brings it together.
Kind of gives it a little flip.
Yeah, it's like, yes, as you said, survival. It's like survival's not that. He realizes you have to. That's the price you have to pay, and he was willing to pay it, and that's his victory. It's an amazing attitude. So that's why he seemed so calm every time you saw him in prison in Siberia and everything. It's just horrendous, but he just knew he was doing what he had to do. It's incredible. We were saying about Nessus as well, weren't we, Sue?
Oh yeah, you were talking about Nessus. I don't know a lot about the Centaur.
Because it's there at 16 Pisces. Well, 17 nearly. It's just on the cusp of his 10th house, from his 9th to his 10th.
Well, this is the event chart.
Sorry, that's the event. Oh, it's here. Yeah, sorry, it's getting. So the event, it's got to, because it's actually on my ascendant. That's what I noticed. Yeah, and so I've actually tuned into it quite a lot in this recent time, and
So
but
give us a little background on who Nessus.
well, Nessus is a centaur, as we were saying. So one of the centaurs, like Chiron, and it's the myth of which we discussed last time, the last Astrospeak. We're talking about the myth of Hercules, who had a campaign against Nessus because he accused Nessus of stealing his wife. But actually, Nessus was stealing his wife because of something Hercules had done to him before. So it's like this interchange of revenge. And so he was going to punish Nessus for actually taking revenge on him for something he did. It's very narcissistic. It's the narcissistic whole, business of a narcissist. If you do something against them, we're seeing a lot of that in the world right now, they're going to, they're going to punish you, even though they can't see at all, don't care either, that you might have reacted to something you did in the first place. And they're going to be completely justified in there. Well, Hercules in the myth actually takes the blood of the Hydra, which is the constellation. The blood of the Hydra is the most poisonous. It's about revenge. It's vindictive. And so it's lethal poison that you only have to have a scratch of it to kill you horrendously. And which, like Sue said, that brings in the poisoning of Navalny into it. And it's, of course, it's squaring his Sun and Neptune, isn't it? He has the Sun-Neptune opposition.
And conjunct
Gemini.
Hygeia.
Yes, Hygeia, like you said. What were you saying about Hygeia too?
Hygeia is health. I mean,
health, yes, and balance. Yes, exactly. So it's T-squaring his Sun-Neptune, which is the sacrifice to, and it's the idealism. And so but he has planned it. So it's like the whole myth of the centaurs is that, yes, Hercules in that case, and Putin, you could say, is the Hercules sort of personality in this. He has planned to kill Nessus in revenge, but he wants to go further than that. Because of what Nessus has done, he wants to actually exterminate the whole centaur community. So it's not good enough for him. He is so incensed and so full of revenge, he has to exterminate all of them. So he takes the blood of the Hydra, puts it on his arrows, and goes to the cave. They all live in caves, I guess, these centaurs. He goes to the cave of Pholus. And I think you can see Pholus there somewhere. I think you put that on, didn't you? That's really, that's been prominent. Yeah, there it is at 9, almost 10. Okay. Capricorn. And so he goes to the cave of Pholus. Pholus is the holder. He's the keeper of the jar of the ancient wisdom of Dionysus. So it's the wine. It's the wine of Dionysus in the jar that holds the ancient wisdom. And so, but what Hercules knows is that if that is spilled, then that will attract the whole community of centaurs, and they'll come running. And then he can kill them all with his bow and arrow. And so he does. He either spills it or he gets Pholus to open it. And when it opens, so Pholus is tricked, it opens and they all come. And then there's this terrible massacre of the centaurs, including, Nessus is the first one to get it. But it's that whole pathological, psychopathic, homicidal maniac that is dictators, particularly like Putin and Netanyahu, that are just completely so power obsessed and so vindictive and so sadistic that they will take huge pleasure in destroying on a massive scale. So interesting, though, the poison, there is Nessus, and it's really highlighted but that sacrifice in Navalny's chart, the Sun opposition with Neptune, again, has attracted that poison. Give me the blood of the Hydra, go do it. Come on. It's fantastic. So, and any comments on that? Amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
I have a thought on that, which is it's really interesting. I'm still playing with the whole resolution to the south node, and in terms of like this idea of like what's more important, the individual survival or the core values. Obviously, Jupiter's conjunct the south node, so how much he values the larger vision or picture and meaning of it. And
Yeah.
like Venus rules the south node, conjunct the sun opposite the Neptune. So there's this right, this theme of how much he values getting the like the Gemini message out there. So like his sacrifice in a way is it's very much deeply tied to his values and getting a message out to the world,
Yeah.
and beyond his own survival. So it's pretty
That was
interesting.
exactly my thoughts.
Yeah, wonderful.
Well
And
said,
of course,
yeah.
yeah, go
And
ahead.
just to further like say you're right, like it in that documentary is reiterated over and over and over again, Bradley, with his actual words. Like, so I think you hit the head on the nail. Is that right?
Nail on the head.
The nail on the head. There you go.
Either way, it works.
To do though.
You know what I was saying.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the head on the nail.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, and the thing with the myth is Hercules, of course, and that's the thing about revenge. It gets him in the end. So it gets him poignantly and and ironically through his own wife, who's the one who was kidnapped by Nessus. His own wife, he's going off to fight or something, and she gets tricked, I think, and I forget who tricked her, but so she gets this blood of the Hydra that he's still kept, and he's got his blood of the Hydra handy, just like Putin has to murder anyone who gets in his way. And so she mistakes it for something or something, but it's by accident that she accidentally gets him poisoned, because she says, she does something for him and he takes this, and it's actually got the blood of the Hydra on it. So it actually kills Hercules in the end, because that's the whole thing. That's the meaning of the myth, that you can take revenge, you can live by the sword, but in the end, and you said about the sword of Damocles.
Oh, Damocles, yeah.
Yeah, it gets you in the end. You're going to die by it. You live by it, you die by it. And so did Hercules. So what was it about the sword of Damocles you said? Because that was
It had to do with the a sword hanging over the head by one strand of horsehair.
Thread, yeah.
Horsehair. Wow.
Yeah, and it has, yeah, horsehair, and
Ah.
it has to do with the overall what hangs over the head of someone in power. It's not all
No, exactly. There's a price to
rainbows
pay.
and unicorns. There is some possible danger.
Yeah, you're going to pay the price, particularly if you become a tyrant.
Right.
So wonderful. Yeah, go ahead.
Interesting, sorry. As you guys were talking, I was also looking at that his Lucifer is opposing the transiting Mars. And that Lucifer is ruled by his son. So it's like he was like the bearer of light on like these exclusionary behaviors, and getting that message out there. And ultimately, it's that Mars is ruled by his Uranus. So again, it just goes back to kind of what you guys were saying. Like, this is someone who's going to become larger than life as time goes on, I think.
Yes, of
this
course.
is something that people are going to be talking about it's going to be in the history books, if they'll allow it.
Now more powerful than ever before. In fact, more powerful. He's just superseded Putin, and Putin doesn't even know it. So,
yeah, and it's because he shined that light on that,
Yeah.
And I just found it fascinating because, like, sometimes I feel like with Lucifer, it would be interesting to see where his Cassandra is, because I wonder if he had in a prior lifetimes, like, some type of, it could be a part of this puzzle. I feel like we're all kind of mulling over, because with Cassandra, that can be like this knowledge or some type of message that is creating insecurity within a collective or with someone else. And so there tends to be like scapegoating or people not believing it. And so I wonder if this is part of his Mars square the nodes, you know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, activating also that Lucifer, you know, just shining a light on all of this exclusionary behavior. So it's definitely, this is a soul who I feel like is testing his limits. He's learning about what he's willing to die for and what he's not, you know? And I feel like on some level, he's exhausting this in this lifetime. To me, that's the sense that I get.
Well,
I
you can't
agree
get
with you.
higher than this, can you? I mean, you know, what a cause to die for, and what a way to do it. I mean, it's phenomenal. How can you can't top that. So yeah, very good.
I'm gonna look up his Lucifer as we
Yeah.
talk.
I'm looking up Cassandra right now.
I mean, Cassandra, sorry.
It's
You are
at
okay.
20 degrees Aquarius.
Yeah. Is it? Wow.
Yeah.
The other thing is you were saying about scapegoating, because actually Damascena Tanis was talking about that the other day about Chiron and being and scapegoating.
Mm-hmm.
That was
That's also a
conjunct Mercury.
Capricorn function, but
Yeah.
so his Cassandra is, you said
It was
20?
conjunct Mercury when he died.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I feel like that's a relive of him getting to like bring this to the collective, some type of message, some type of knowledge that he's wanting to shine a light on. I don't know. I love asteroids because I do. I feel like they just give so much more information, you know, it makes it juicier.
The whole picture, as you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Okay.
But a Chiron, yeah, of course. So Chiron, again, that's the sacrifice. You know, Chiron is the centaur that he survives the attack with of Hercules. But that's where he got the wound, you know, because his leg was scratched by one of the arrows. So he didn't die from it. It wasn't enough to kill him. But so he was one of the only survivors, along with his wife Chariclo. She survived it because she wasn't there, but for some reason she wasn't tempted. But she wasn't actually a centaur. I think she was something else, a siren nymph or something. So yeah, but she was his wife, and Chariclo's there as well, which is interesting because that actually we should look at when we look next at Julia, is it, or Julia? Do you say his wife, Navalny's wife?
I think it's Yulia.
Yulia.
Yeah. Where it is, because it's like Chiron and Chariclo, you know, the husband and wife, and he sacrifices himself, but the wife, Chariclo, then does go on from that. She survives it, but
So
her husband.
His is in Aries right here, and it's in, I believe, in Aquarius. Yeah, it's in Aquarius now.
Okay.
That's where the eclipse is going to be.
Yeah,
19 degrees.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
of
true.
course. And Chiron, they're going to be conjunct.
Yes.
Mhm.
Chiron
Yeah,
is going to be on the
exactly,
eclipse at
conjunct.
19 degrees of Aries.
That is
Wow.
amazing. That is amazing.
That is amazing. Okay, so do you want to look at?
Yes, let's.
Okay, I have one
saying.
comment before we move on, because I mean we can move on to Putin's
No,
chart,
go on.
but Navalny was having a Jupiter return, just about to have a Jupiter return, as is Putin.
Oh goodness, really?
Yeah. So here is his
Goodness. Yeah.
there's his Jupiter right there, and his
Right.
is retrograde.
On the
It's back to 11, so I mean it's very close to.
Oh wow! So his Nessus, that's what you said. I remember you brought that up. Nessus is actually conjunct Navalny's Jupiter.
Rest. Oh, yeah, right. His Jupiter.
Oh, right. Yes, right here.
Oh, gets better all the time, doesn't it?
And
Oh
look,
my
and
Oh my goodness.
and look at this. It's
Yeah.
by progression, it's conjunct his Hygeia, which
Yeah.
I wonder how this is going to affect his health. or,
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, you were talking about it backfiring, the poison
Yeah.
backfiring.
Yes, he, like Hercules was got by it in his own poison, you know,
Mhm.
hoisted him as own petard. And yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And look, Uranus is right on his Jupiter.
Wow. So he sealed his own death warrant. I mean, yeah, got to be, hasn't it?
We can only
You know,
hope.
That
I think
so
I think we can do more than hope with this. I really
you know
think.
Navalny's Cassandra is square that Jupiter.
That's
Mm.
true.
So and then your Uranus is transiting Putin's Jupiter. So
Oh, and look at that. His
a complete relive, I feel like. Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's on his north node. So yeah, this I feel to me, I don't know, because I'm looking at this through an evolutionary astrology lens. This
Yeah.
feels like a repeat and something is being resolved on some type of level, even though he has, you know, a skip step dynamic. I'm talking about Navalny and his chart, but there, whatever's gone on between him and Putin, I feel like, or someone like Putin in the past, I feel like there's some type of resolving dynamic
Sure.
that's going on, especially with him using his voice and highlighting this, you know?
Yeah. 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 Like Sue, you were saying, his nemesis. You know, with an, you know, he really is Putin's nemesis, and it comes, as you say, from the past. This isn't. Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
so
Putin
got him.
doesn't
We are
want
coming
people
to
to speak
that.
the truth about him. He doesn't want people to talk about how he is, or else you get killed, right? It's even
Yeah.
like people who are protesting, they're getting thrown in jail right now.
We are
Sure.
coming to that Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which is very significant for Russia.
Sure. Wow.
yeah, he has it and Russia has it, and you know,
Uh,
here we go again, and it, you know,
Putin's Mercury right there.
it won't be opposite his Saturn Neptune, but it'll be in the opposite sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see, there was one. Oh, the other thing that you and I were talking about the other day was this his Mars, natal Mars conjunct karma.
Yes. Yes. Well done.
Okay,
that.
and where'd we go with that? Oh, and Neptune
Karma.
is squaring it right now
Where?
by transit, or
Yeah.
was, you know, is and was. And
Yes.
his Mars has now progressed to this point of conjoining the North Node in Aquarius.
Right. Oh my God. Which is the ruler of his. Oh, where is it?
Okay, Mars is the
house.
is
Yeah.
yeah, is the ruler of his sixth house. And, you know, traditionally it's also the ruler of, you know, Scorpio. So, you know, it's his ascendant as well. And look at this, his progressed sun has come
Oh,
to
yes.
his
Yeah,
Mars.
you're right. Yeah. Yeah, you found that. That's amazing. And well, applying to the conjunction of Chariclo, but you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and the other thing that I made a note of to the group was that Yulia was born 49 days after Alexei, and
Really.
and he died at 47. So his progressed chart was like just, you know, approaching her birth chart, which I find just fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. It's as though she's carrying the torch now.
I was about to say that's a big pass the baton moment.
Yeah.
It reminds me of
Mhm.
like those runners, how they reach behind. That's like what that
Yeah,
And
they're both
yeah.
running, and yeah, exactly. The good,
Mhm.
yeah, good analogy. I like that.
um, Yeah. And that's squared, of course, that you know, the Mars karma squared by oh God, I've lost it now.
Neptune.
Squared by what's that? 29 yeah, 29 pi
This chaos.
chaos. Okay. Yeah, squared by chaos.
Yes, yes. So natally, he has. I mean, chaos doesn't move very much. It's only moved
No.
90
So
degrees.
so Mars has come closer to chaos. It's yeah, but it probably
yeah,
won't go.
but
still.
also chaos is now right here. So
Yeah.
it is square. You know, it's flirting with now moving into Cancer, but
Yes.
it's squaring his natal position and you know, opposing Caraclo and his, you know, all this stuff in Sagittarius.
Yeah. And is that Athena at 26 Pisces on his natal chart?
Mm,
Is that Athena or is it something else?
Yes, Pallas.
Athena.
Mhm.
They-
Yes, it is.
Palace.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yep. Yeah, so
So that-
that's
yeah.
square. That square is, I mean, natally that's square his Mars.
Sure.
Anyhow, so I mean, what does that
Yeah.
say that?
Well, Neptune there. I mean, Neptune right on it.
Right.
It's justice, I guess. I mean, how's Athena's, you know, about justice, I would have said.
Yeah.
Is
Mhm.
You know, it's about, you're better at asteroids than I am.
Well, I mean, Athena is also about recognizing patterns. And I think, you know, Putin has always been the, you know, the great strategist, the one who, you know, thinks
Yeah.
himself, you know, above everyone as far as, you know, the chess game that he plays.
Mhm.
And I
Machiavelli.
mean, with Neptune on that and square his Mars tells me that, you know, his thinking may not.
Yeah.
Where it should be. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
like you said, he's been poisoned by his own poison. You know, the blood of the Hydra. It's come for him. You know, so after all his spree of revenge, he's picked on the wrong one this time. Finally, so
Well, my suspicion is he always has, but now, you know, this one,
this is the real. I mean, you know,
this is the one that may, you know, may change the course of.
oh, definitely. The whole mentality of Russia, you know, their spiritual history and everything is very, I mean, it's very deep. And so they have a new hero now. You know, it's Navalny. To have done this is extraordinarily momentous for them.
Yeah.
And that just is going to grow and grow. And as you say, Julia, perhaps we can look at that now.
Yeah.
She has taken the baton on, as you were saying, Jordyn, and she's got the responsibility now of carrying it forward. I mean, whether he'll go for her now, it's good to look at her chart and see what.
Oh, look.
What's that? Well,
Polus.
Do we know her time of birth?
No, this is a noon chart.
Right. I thought this may be coincidentally.
No.
Yes.
So she, you know, I mean, the only thing that really makes a difference is the moon. So she could have a Cancer moon, which I would suspect, although I don't know, but you know, she's definitely.
And
look at
if
all
she
this.
does,
Look at all this
conjunct
field.
anyway.
Yeah.
So her moon conjunct Nessus.
Yeah.
Wow.
True. Yeah. The closer it would be.
Yeah. Well, even then, it's not going to be out of orb, is it? But I bet
Yeah.
it is. It is in
It's
Cancer.
just out of sign. Yeah.
I don't know if it's in Gemini, it's on his sun. So
Yeah.
Well, his sun is mid Gemini. So
yeah, but
But still, there's a reciprocity.
right. Yeah. Same sign. Yeah. True.
And
True.
yeah, her ninth house sort of begins quite close. Yeah. His son's in her eighth, isn't it?
Well, this is a noon chart.
yeah, we don't know.
Well, yeah. Of
What-
course. But even taking that, the noon chart, you know, the noon chart is about the status, but it's also about the purpose in life, you know, the serving of the world, isn't it? And how you're seen in the world.
Yes, and I think that there a lot can be taken from a noon chart, especially with someone in the public eye. I think it, you know, I think it's really, yeah.
So looking at it from that point of view, you know, Navalny is in her 8th house of her noon chart. So yeah, so it's the 8th to her midheaven. So it is very much on his death,
Yeah, he falls right in there.
you know, and you've got Pluto at the bottom, of course, at the IC on the noon, you know, at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Which is extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of this, his Mars is right here.
Yes. Yeah.
Kicking up her Mercury and Venus.
Look at that. Her Venus is. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking about the Mars Venus conjunction also, and just wanted to add in that that's the north node of Neptune, and you know there's this sense that they both have some kind of special destiny relative to the evolution of the collective, and
Yeah.
so I think that north node of Neptune is part of that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very
And
good.
yeah, through the hero, you know, the Leo, the sun. It's the sign of the hero. That exactly. And they are heroes, and she's a heroine. But yeah, and that of course is absolutely square Putin's Venus. So she's got Venus squaring Putin's Venus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And what's that down there with his, where his Venus would be, you know, and down in the cusp of the.
Well, we have Uranus,
Yeah.
Hybris, North Node, and Lilith.
Lilith, okay.
And and this is America. This triangle with the eye in it is America.
Okay. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, I liked that when I discovered that. I thought,
Yeah,
"Oh,
that's great.
interesting."
Symbol from the dollar bill.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of this.
Yeah, so her Lilith, you know, conjunct Putin's Venus and her Venus squaring Lilith. Wow. So she's a very Lilith personality.
Well, she is no bullshit.
No, I mean, she would have to be.
That's like a Lilith and Scorpio to me, like in a really general sense, is like a no bullshit type of person.
Yeah,
like who's
absolutely.
willing to confront and expose. And I think that she definitely fits that bill. Like her speech she gave right after, oh my gosh, like her just, you know, literally taking the baton and being like, I'm going to continue doing this. And this person's going to pay for this. There's going to be repercussions.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like that's a good representation of her Lilith.
Yes,
Opinion.
absolutely. Squaring Putin's Venus and her, well, conjunct and then squared by her Venus.
Mm-hmm.
Does that contact anything else? I don't know. Does it? No. Well,
I think it's interesting that right now transiting Chiron is in conjunct. That means that it's in conjunct to her Lilith and also Putin's Venus. So I think that that's, I mean,
really.
It symbolizes the crisis. I think it symbolizes like the, you know, the anger, all of the things that are coming up and how that's inducing more crisis.
Yeah,
And
sure.
this is her Eris too. At 14 degrees Aries.
Well, and I don't, Bradley, is it a full phase in conjunct? Would that be a full phase in conjunct? I need like the visual.
From
the Chiron to her Lilith and to Putin's Venus that conjuncts her Lilith.
Chiron to Lilith.
Yeah.
Full phase.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. So, and that's really about like being able to do a like from the gibbous phase, you know, of inducing humility and being of service, now it's putting that service out into the world in a socially relevant way, in like a really generalized sense. So to me, I feel like that's part of her purpose and her destiny.
North
and what
Node there as
she's
well.
doing.
Sure. North Node 9 degrees.
So it's like her figuring out how to do this, you know, how am I going to take this information and all of this stuff that's happened, you know, and put it out in a way that can to me, I feel like it represents her honoring, like,
yes.
you know, the death and what Navalny stood for, especially for the people of Russia.
Yeah.
That is how I'm kind of interpreting that.
And remember, we're going to have a Mars retrograde in Leo.
Right.
The end of the year, it's going to come up right about to her Saturn. I think it's
Right.
going to station right on her Saturn, actually.
And then it
That'll
will be
be squaring
opposite
her
her
nodes.
nemesis.
Yeah. And Pluto will be moving
Oh,
forward.
right.
Yeah. So opposite. Whoa. Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's Pluto right in here.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, squaring her Uranus, Scorpio,
When
and
is this going to be?
The Mars
it's
retrograde's
direct
gonna be
again,
the
isn't
end
it?
of the year,
Yeah, it
November.
goes direct in November, doesn't it? At the end of November.
It goes retrograde
Around
and
election
goes
time.
into next
Yeah,
year.
it'll go retrograde back into Capricorn, and then I think it's the end of November. It goes direct again, doesn't it? Back to
No, it's actually after the first of the year. I think it's in
Oh,
January.
is it? I thought it
Yeah.
was the end of November.
Mars is
Oh.
retrograde for a couple of months, and it's not until I think it's
No, I meant Pluto. Sorry.
oh,
Yeah.
Pluto. Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Pluto goes back into
Capricorn.
Capricorn in
yeah.
September, the beginning of September. And then I think by the end of the year, then it's back in Aquarius for good by the end of November.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then it'll be good.
Yeah.
to-
And then
Yeah.
and then it'll play into the I mean
Yeah.
the build up to the Mars retrograde as well.
Yes. And of course, be going towards her nodal axis, well, T-squaring her nodal axis, of course, then. So that'll be really, I mean, it's going to build, isn't it? And build and build.
Yeah. I worry
Sun
a
is-
little for her health.
Well, yeah, but you know, with the people will be with her by that time. It's got to be. I mean, you know, that's got Sarah's there as well, conjunct her sun. I mean, Sarah's conjunct sun there, like that's, you know, the mother.
Mhm.
So Mother Russia back again. And she, you know, personifying Mother Russia, rather, you know, Putin calls it Father Russia now, but it
Oh,
used to
does
be
he?
Mother always. So she, again, you know, she could be the new Mother Russia, the great mother figure.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That
So
would be-
she will have all that surrounding her. So whether he can even touch her by that time, I would have thought it was doubtful. But obviously she will be, you know, she'll be a target because none of those transits are easy and she's going to be up against it. But it just seems she'll be untouchable, I think. What do you think, looking at that? Anyone? Where's Jupiter going to be? Yeah.
I think that for her, she probably, especially with all of that squaring her nodes, and then if we look at Navalny's chart and how his Mars squares that nodes, it's almost like she's using the direct experience of what she went through with him to know like what limits that she has regarding her own survival, especially if you look at all of her Leo stuff. To me, this indicates because she's taking care of her kids. She was the one who was taking care of the kids during the time that he was going through all of this stuff. I think for her, she's going to stay somewhere else and do the work from there. And you've got to think their biggest thing has been YouTube and the internet. And
Yeah.
you've got to think about how Pluto is going to be opposing her sun right now. It's all of these things. So she's not going to have to be in Russia. He did the work. Like he did his moon in Virgo, you know?
Yeah,
and so
such a good
now
point.
she's going to be able to do this remotely and to carry on and protect her kids, you know, because that's really emphasized in this chart, I feel like.
You're so right. You're so right with that.
Hygeia can protect health sometimes. It can go either way.
Yeah. Yeah, really? Can it?
Mhm.
This
Yeah.
other asteroid up here is Atlantis,
Oh, is it? Okay.
conjunct her sun. And Atlantis can also talk about hubris,
Can
because
okay.
of, you know, the
Yeah.
over zealousness of you know, thinking that how powerful, you know, they are, but it also is an energy, you know, a really strong energy.
Yeah. And her son, of course, also representing her husband as well.
Yeah.
She's coming forward for her, you know, the son, her husband. Yeah, same energy carrying forward. It's incredible. It's really incredible. Square to you were saying America, is that called? The triangle with the eye, the
Mhm.
pyramid, rather. It's probably a pyramid.
Yes, probably it is. Yeah.
Probably it
The
is.
symbol from our dollar bill.
That is what's on the dollar bill.
Yeah, it's the third eye.
The all
The
seeing eye in the
It just
pyramid.
makes me think of
Big
my
eye.
generation. We look at it as the Illuminati.
Yes, but I mean yeah, but it goes further than that, doesn't it? With the
No, for sure.
well, yeah, I know, but yeah, but it's got the two sides to it. Yeah, on one it can be misused, but then on the other there's a whole ancient history that was hijacked, and you know, by the Illuminati, they hijacked the ancient Hermetic Egyptian history, you know, of alchemy and astrology and all of that. And so it also represents that. It's just the Illuminati ran off with it, you know, and the Illuminati came on from the Romans ran off with it first. It's just been, again, the baton handed of the dark side of the pyramid with the eye. But the pyramid with the eye is actually, I mean, that's coming back as representing the Great Mother. So interesting, again, you know, her son squaring that in Scorpio, the Great Mother again, and the Dark Mother, because the Great Mother has the other side, the terrible mother. And sometimes, like Lilith, you know, you need that power of the terrible mother who can take revenge, who can be ruthless, who takes revenge on the slayer of the, like Ra. It was the Eye of Ra. So Isis, or the Great Mother, could turn into the Eye of Ra, who is the avenger of Ra. So if Ra is attacked or is disrespected in other way, then the Eye of Ra takes revenge. And she's bloodthirsty in her revenge. She's absolutely ruthless. So that's really, that's really appropriate.
And
Yeah.
I wonder if her Amazon is actually conjunct her Mars, because I think that would reinstate exactly what you're talking about. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that would be like, I mean, it's like vindication, you know? And I feel like the goddess asteroids are more of like this like principle of like shamanistic wisdom. It's like kind of guiding us to like, you know, this is the direction to take, that's in alignment with who you are on a soul level. And so for her, I wonder if her Amazon is conjunct her Mars, because she feels very Amazon, like a soul type to me as well. Because Navalny's Alexei's was at 5 Virgo, and she was born
just after him.
79 days afterwards.
49.
49. That's right. So are you looking it up, Sue?
Yeah, I am looking it up right now.
Because I'm curious, because I feel like it would just reinstate what
Yeah, it probably does. I mean,
it's 17 Virgo.
Okay. So that's square his Sun Neptune opposition T-square.
And that's
In
still
between
in
her Mars
conjunction
and
with her
Juno.
Mars, just moving away from it.
Yeah. And her Neptune, so square Neptune.
So
And Pholus down there.
It's
So
opposing it, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. And Pholus again is the keeper of the ancient wisdom, the wine of Dionysus. So yeah, exactly. That was spilled. So yeah, it's like she's the new keeper of that.
Yeah, well, and it's, I mean, both of them having Amazon and Virgo is like, again, and then both of their Liliths are on the North Node. That's like, they're going to stay whole unto themselves, like no matter what. That's like what it shows to
Oh,
me.
yeah.
And they're gonna fight for that because they
Yeah.
want to be able, especially with all of her Leo stuff, and
Mhm.
Pluto's going to be transiting. It's like being a mirror, showing people this can be done, like stand up even more,
Yes.
that's kind of
Again, the
the vibe I
example,
get.
which is the only thing, which is what is necessary, that individual example, that the individual can
Mhm.
change the whole attitude of the collective, can even be the savior of the collective.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, by inspiring.
who was it asked
Yeah.
where Jupiter was
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Jupiter will retrograde at 20 degrees Gemini.
Right.
In
Okay.
the summer, the end of the summer.
Yeah. Right.
So
Right.
it will
Yeah.
get all the way up to here. It'll oppose her Neptune. It'll figure into all of that we were just talking about it'll get.
Oh, she has the same Jupiter as me,
Really?
even to the degree, yeah. And her Lilith conjuncts my Lilith and my Pluto. That's probably why I feel so passionate when I talk about her.
Yeah,
It must
really.
be more a return, obviously one of her returns of Jupiter.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
How-
Yeah,
how old is she?
they're all having Jupiter.
Yeah, 76.
Yeah, including
Yeah.
Putin.
Wow. Yes. And of course, Chiron, again, Chiron opposite that America, do they call the pyramid?
Mhm.
Yeah. So Chiron opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And her sun right up there, then T-square, both of those. Whoa. So a shining light, even not just to Russia. I mean, it's a shining light for the world, because that's what the world needs now, to see individuals who are willing to stand up, who are willing to risk everything, sacrifice everything, lay their lives down. How often do you get that now? You don't. And they are giving that example, which is extraordinary.
Exactly.
Extraordinary.
But it seems that's what they came to do. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see a karma fulfilled.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's wonderful. And how it balances out now with we're seeing the patriarchy, we're seeing the collect, the authoritarian regimes everywhere. It seems, in power, and how can they even be broken down? How can they even be challenged? They're everywhere. Even our own are not great. There's no one who's very great, who's these authoritarian governments.
So
because they've all
to your
Sorry?
point, Lynn, they both
Yes.
have asteroid karma conjunct Pluto.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is showing the whole world that you can break the patriarchy down, which again is the great mother coming forward and saying the great mother's rising, and in the individual. Yeah, it's just incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to go. So thank you very much for letting me participate. And I'll see you soon, I hope.
Thank you,
Okay.
Lynn.
Thank
Good to have
you.
you. Thank you.
Shall
Thank
we
you. I
shall
sat
we
down
move
at
on?
this
Can we
moment.
move on? Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
extraordinary.
I also think it looks like we lost Bradley too. I don't know if
Yeah,
Had to go.
he did it in the message. Oh, to emphasize her series, Michaela,
Mhm.
that's like where we recover our nature, right? I feel like it works in tandem with Lilith, because Lilith can be like that's the root structure, the most undistorted primal instinct of ourself, And
Yes.
Ceres in Leo, for her, I feel like as she's recovering her nature of being this no bullshit, I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna this isn't just like fighting for a man, this is like fighting for her country.
Yes.
It's like creating Ceres and Leo, whenever it's naturally expressed, is looking at inclusivity. So she's like bringing forth, because it pulls in the polarity of the integration, right? So to me, I feel like she's really wanting to bring community, like to rally the troops is a better way to like say it, through her own creative actualization of like,
yeah, actually, yeah, it brings something to mind of all of a sudden. Mother Courage. It's an old Brecht. Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Mother Courage, and it is the great mother, and it's of the soil, Demeter. Yeah, fantastic. And it is Mother Russia.
Mm-hmm.
It's embodying.
And Pluto is going to
Station right there.
it's gonna station at 2 degrees. So it's going to oppose that. So there's like something I feel like she gets to reclaim, especially that Pluto is ruled by her Uranus, you know? So like
she
I
could
feel
end
like
up
she's gonna be exposing even more of these dynamics.
maybe she could take over. Wouldn't that be neat?
That would be the
President.
epitome of the resurgence of the goddess, I feel like.
That would be.
Yeah.
I think there's hope of that looking at these charts. I really do.
Yes.
You know, it's all behind her. The karmic purpose and everything. It's like it's rocket fuel. You can't beat that. And it's all against the tide is now turned against Putin. That's it.
For humanity.
I wonder if no, I don't think, I think his ego's so inflated that he doesn't even realize that yet.
Oh no, you won't
Well,
notice it.
You know, the eclipse in next October will
April.
be within
Oh.
degrees of his sun.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
It's at
Yes,
10
you're
degrees.
right.
And his sun is, let's see.
But he's done. It's just done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His
Mind
sun,
you, I shouldn't.
That could indicate
yeah, his
that.
sun is 13 degrees.
Sunset too, but hey,
And the eclipse is at 10 degrees and his sun is 13.
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
when we were
that-
talking about the asteroid America, this is kind of backstepping, but I was thinking about this. Remember how the last time or maybe it was the time before last, how I talked about how Trump used to be Odoacer in a prior lifetime, and so he was known as like the fall of the Roman Empire. And you brought in how, like, you know, that symbol kind of connects to Rome.
Yeah.
And then just think about Putin and his relationship. So it's like, how has this intertwined in the past? Like, I want to know, you know?
Yes.
And I bet the America is that asteroid is really pronounced in there, and it speaks and echoes to those prior lifetimes, you
Yes.
know?
And as I said, the empire, because it's, you know, the empire continues of Rome. It's the same thing that's being continued by, all these countries that are superpowers, you know.
Well,
They're
it's
all
really interesting to think about, because Odoacer was known for manipulating the democracy, and that was part of his fall. And then if you see, like, in this lifetime, he's pretty much picked up where he left off. Like, so you know, it'll be interesting to see how this connects with both of them, I feel like.
So
Yeah.
here's
And as
Putin's asteroid America is at 23 Cancer, which is where Trump's Venus is, I believe. He's got that Venus-Saturn conjunction in Cancer. And look at that.
you're right.
Lilith conjunct America in Putin's.
Oh my goodness. And with chaos. It's chaos, isn't it? that
Chaos.
No, that's-
chaos
that's not-
would be
That's
in
Atlantis.
Pisces over here.
Who is that again?
Atlantis.
Oh, this is
Atlantis. Okay.
Atlantis, which, you know,
That's Atlantis.
yeah.
I mean, that one, 23
Hubris.
Cancer. Yeah.
I think that Lilith in his chart, like, Lilith is never distorted, but I think in his chart and Putin's chart, I think it, especially because it falls in the 9th house, to me, this is indicative of the distortion of natural law and like the matriarchal law. I think that's what it is. And I feel like that Lilith is very angry, like, because of that, you know?
Look, it's square all of this stuff.
Well, Lilith can be the negative anima, I think, as well. She can present as that. I mean, the negative or positive. It depends if you own your shadow.
Yeah,
I
what
mean,
he's
she can be
ignoring.
the negative shadow, the negative anima, that once you own her,
Mhm.
then you've got your power. That, and that actually reflects Nessus, because Nessus is very much about that too. That it's it's the vindictive, it's about revenge and about the consequences of revenge, but it's also about seeing revenge is very much about the shadow. It's about projection. So you own Nessus as well. Yeah.
And his
Instead
Nessus
of
is conjunct his Jupiter, which rules his karma and
Yes.
Mars and his
Mars.
progressed sun.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
enough about him. Shall we move on?
Yes. Yeah, but that's brilliant. Well done, Sue, too, for all that help, work, and Jordyn's wonderful comments.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's comments are great.
Everybody. Yeah.
So do we have any comments left for the eclipses?
Well,
Or
we're going
are
to
we
see it
running
play
out of
out.
steam?
Show us that. So who wants to go on that? Do you want to? Jordyn, do you want to have a go?
No, not right now. I'm like
Which
looking at
way
the
now?
time because I'm about to have to leave to go get my
Okay. Okay.
clothes.
So we'll just go quickly on these then, because
Yeah.
the main thing here is obviously 5 degrees 5 degrees Aries, and the eclipse, lunar eclipse, 5 degrees Libra. I mean, what would you say about that? Because it doesn't appear offhand to be, I mean, picking up much, does it? Except, ooh. Well, yeah, I mean, it's sextiling, trining Pluto. So, it's in the 12s. I don't know. I don't know about the lunar eclipse this time.
Yeah,
What do you think,
it
Robin?
seems so maybe one of the ones that's a little more benign than
Yeah.
but
Well,
it will be followed by the solar eclipse. So I mean,
Yeah,
I-
the solar eclipse is the biggie, isn't it? But on the other
Yeah.
hand, I mean, I think it's seeing the placements of the other planets around it, and it's
Mhm.
shining a light on that, particularly the Neptune, I think, in this case.
Well, yeah, and I think it does indicate that we're moving forward. I mean,
Yeah.
everything is
I mean-
direct at this point. That's the other point.
Yeah.
No retrogrades right now. And
Applying to that Uranus conjunction.
okay, I have something.
Yeah.
I do too.
So I love that this is Greenwich because I can go by the houses as well. I feel like with the Pluto and Aquarius ruled by that Uranus and Taurus, and this Pluto is in the 10th house, this is really speaking to the need to like liberate and on a collective level to individuate and think for ourselves.
Right.
To throw off like patriarchal distortions, the 10th house. I also think that Chiron is in a new phase conjunction to is it new phase?
I think so. Yeah.
To the North Node.
Yes, because it's
Yeah,
the nodes are retro.
Yeah,
Okay, so
Nodes
to
are
me
moving
this
that way.
speaks to like the brand new cycle starting up. And Mars is, where's Mars in this chart? In Pisces. Yeah, that's right. So to me this is like more part of this new process of healing for all of us on a collective level through this individuation, coming back to like natural law that Jupiter is approaching Uranus, which is the
Yeah.
ruler of Pluto.
Yeah.
Mars and Pisces is about like dissolving
Yes.
these old dynamics, right? We've got to dissolve this and culminate all of this stuff through the individuation process so a new Chironian kind of cycle can start. So I think that this will bring up a lot of stuff pertaining to like war, the collective, the imbalances.
Yeah.
Me, this
Take a
also
good look at this. Do you want to take this anymore? You have a choice to make is now.
yes. And I think it's like the liberation from the fragmentation, right? The
Yeah.
white or black thinking, wrong or right. Like in natural law, that does not happen. There's no less than, better than, superior, inferior.
Sure.
So this kind of speaks to a cycle that's wanting to emerge
Yes.
of, you know, liberating from these old distortions in order to have healing take place. That's
Yes.
my spiel.
Yeah, that's evolutionary, as you say. It's like it has to, because that is this new cycle, and it's built. Yeah, you have to have the destruction first before the new
Yes.
cycle, but this is the beginning of the new cycle. And then, of course, yeah, I just noticed the Venus at 16 Pisces, which is where Nessus was, and it's conjuncting, you know, by that time 18 degrees Pisces. So it's Venus is at the same place that Nessus was when Navalny was killed.
Yeah, and,
So
and Nessus is still
Wow.
there.
yes,
Well,
yes,
and all of this is balsamic to Neptune, its ruler. So
Yeah.
it speaks to the dissolving of old structures, old values, you know, and the desire to do that on a collective level. To
Yeah.
me, that's what that reflects.
yeah.
So
And the
here's
sun, of
something.
course, 5 degrees.
Here's something for moving forward, perhaps. Mercury
Yes.
is approaching a conjunction to Eris. So I think there may be, you know, some speaking up, shall we say, of the injustices and
Yeah, absolutely. That's yeah, well done. Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
because war is brewing, so the people
everywhere.
it's
Yes.
brewing everywhere. It's popping up. It's erupting. So the people have to make their choice now. And actually, the full moon, in a couple of days' time, is showing that Virgo full moon opposite to Saturn, with the sun on Saturn. So you have a choice to make. Do you want to go towards war, or do you want to turn the tide? Because it's up to the people. They have to make, and every sign, as you said, Navalny is huge in that, and his wife taking over, and what's happening in Gaza and everything. It's like, make your choice, because is this what you want? I mean, really, what we see here.
There's a problem though, because a lot of people are making choices based on delusions.
Yes.
That and
They're not-
this
Good point.
the Jupiter, to me, like, really, you know, it's in conjunct the South Node, okay? So this speaks to propaganda, like,
Yes.
you know, around the imbalances, like the dichotomies, like, whose side are you going to be on? Palestine's, Israel's? Are you right wing, left wing? Are you, you know, pro-life?
Very
you know,
polarized. Yeah.
all of the things. And it's like and Jupiter is approaching that Uranus, and we know Uranus and Aquarius, Pluto's rule, you know, Pluto and Aquarius can speak to the internet as well. So I feel like even more propaganda.
Yeah. An avalanche of,
It's causing people to lose sight of the bigger picture.
Yes.
And they're too focused on their
Well, it keeps them away from
They're not
individuating.
seeing that the world is now in turmoil. We are on a crest of run on the, you know, the downward slope towards World War III, and some people are just still their head, you know, in their phone. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, it's really interesting, because here's the thing, like, Pluto and Aquarius is about community coming together, right?
Yeah.
And so it can't be like, whose side are you on? Like, war is war. That's like, if I get beat by someone and it creates PTSD, and then you live through, you know, a war, it's still PTSD. It's going to affect us all neurologically the same way. So it's not one's better than, less
There are
than.
no winners. There are no winners in this.
No, absolutely not. And so
And
it's
look at World War II, which was our last example of World War, and what came out of that? I mean, at least, okay, computers came out of it, and some technology that we are now based on now. But the atom bomb, that hasn't.
It was a warning.
Good. You know, the nuclear age came out of it, and look what it did to the aggressors. Germany was devastated. Japan got nuked. You know, there was no, and Russia, of course, that, you know, that started then, the Cold War, and Israel was founded then. So the Palestine thing happened then. So it's like so much was seeded that we're now seeing, you know, even the nuclear stuff, like the sword of Damocles, which was, you know, that's associated with that's what we've lived with the sword of Damocles. And now Putin, after Navalny's death is now talking about nuking again. He's on that role, he's on that bandwagon.
Well, of course, because the thing he was focused on is gone now, so he wants to focus on something else. It's like these hyper fixations of his.
Yes, and he's obviously very threatened because he does see the rumblings now. He must do of Russia now. Yeah. So how does he keep hold of these reins? His chariot is starting to wobble and he's going out of control. So what does he do? Then he is, I mean, there is a lot of worry now if he becomes unstable with this and sees that he's not going to win, that he's the biggest
Becomes
threat. What? Sorry?
becomes unstable.
No, becomes unstable with his power. Yeah, I know he's a lunatic, but yeah, but his
Desperate.
power base is no longer stable, and he feels he's
Desperate would be the word.
To me, also, this can reflect like this is like seeding, right? Something like the collective disillusionment that can happen from the trauma that is created by the imbalances that are created from the distortions of natural law. Like, to me, that's boom in your face with this chart.
Yeah, exactly.
And, the other thing is we're going to have once this new cycle, this Jupiter-Uranus cycle starts, Jupiter is going to really quickly move into Gemini, and it's going to be square Saturn. So, I think there may be some sort of reckoning at some point, but I think the crescendo is going to build for this misinformation, disinformation, and what to believe and what not to believe.
I also think Jupiter in Gemini is really indicative of whenever if we don't get right with Mother Nature, which it's pretty much too late right now, like there are going to be more crisis involved with natural disasters, and that Jupiter and Gemini to me speaks to people having to migrate or reverse migrate because
it's like patriarchy is trying to kid us that it can be reversed. It can't be reversed.
No.
All you can do now is clean up the pollution. You can hope to do that and set a new lifestyle, can set a new system going that can cope.
But it has to get so bad first. That's the thing.
But it's going to happen now. It's too late. And there are natural cycles as well, to do with it that actually are going to bring in even more challenging weather conditions.
Yeah.
Like the solar flares and all that stuff, and the mini ice age probably. We're due a mini ice age, so over the west and the northern hemisphere. So that could kick in 4 or 5 years. So what we should be doing now is preparing for all these, as you say, the ones that are being caused man-made, but also the natural cycles that are going to be extreme. And we should be doing everything to make provision for that.
I agree.
But what are we doing? Instead, we're vying over resources, oil and food and transport of the food and production of it, and war, for God's sakes, war because of resources, basically, because that's what all these wars are about. They're basically about resources and who's going to win, who's going to
and religion.
Religion's an excuse. I mean, it's always been an excuse. It's always been a propaganda.
It's the means justify the
really, they've used that religion since the age of Pisces dawn, but before that, actually, for 7,000 years. But the age of Pisces, it really, the Romans really took off with that, swiping Christianity and running with it, and making it the hugest propaganda tool ever. So, and that's what's happening now, using religion, using climate change even. But not being honest about this and saying, this is what we're dealing with, and forget about vying with each other. It's just going to make a whole cataclysm. Everything's going to converge. And that's that's the road we're on, a convergence now of all of this. And it's only the people realizing it. But as you said, the hope here is the seeding of the higher consciousness, the Christ consciousness. That someone like, if you wanted a figure for a Christ consciousness, Navalny has fulfilled that role. He is the Christ, if you like, as the figure, as Christ was, I believe, as a figure for the Christ consciousness in his all. And so he's fulfilled the role, and now it's coming up in the people, and that's what has to happen if we are to avert complete catastrophe. The nuclear catastrophe, the climate catastrophe, the wars, the famine, the mini ice age, it's all coming. And unless we get together and stop all of this, and we will. That's why I do think, frankly, we will. But then we have to go through the process. We can't just say, oh, well, it's all going to be fine. But
unfortunately, like on a collective level, there's collective masochism. So it's like it has to get so bad before.
Bad. And that's another thing that's happening in Gaza. It's like we're watching this get worse. It's diabolical, and it's so painful to watch. But it's like that has to get worse and worse until people finally take some notice of, and it's like another sacrifice. It's like Navalny's sacrifice, in fact, maybe on a collective level. And that's what I think, that the Palestinian people have somehow volunteered for this world service of sacrifice in, again, the Christ consciousness, in order to say this is the price that had to be paid so that the world actually focuses on what is important, and the compassion rises, and the unity and the connectedness. And yeah, you said brilliantly, that's like a seeding now that's happening. And these eclipses, even because you've got the other eclipse there, haven't you, Sue?
I do.
I have to jump off though, guys.
Oh, right. But you've been so brilliant. Thank you, Jordyn.
Yes, no, I love doing these with you guys.
Great.
I will see you next time, Kay.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thanks, Jordyn.
All right, bye.
Namaste. Right.
This one I threw in because the lunar eclipse is the same day that the USA Sibley chart is, whoa, no cats, is he's really interested in this. Is going to have a progressed new moon that in Pisces.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, interesting, huh?
Yeah.
And conjunct Pallas, which is good. So I think there may be some activism that comes out of it.
Definitely. So what did you see with the asteroids and everything? Sue, have you observed anything in particular?
I don't think I really looked at this one closely. Nothing that pops out at me right now. I just thought I would put it in here.
Yeah.
In case we wanted to.
Interesting that Uranus there, and that's the middle ring is the Sibley chart. Yeah, so of course America's Uranus.
Yes. Right here is actually,
I didn't realize that natally Nessus is squaring it. Wow. At 8 degrees.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Actually squaring Uranus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
we're going to have a
return.
Uranus return before too long.
What, 27, isn't it? 26, 27, I think.
26, 20, yeah, probably 27 by the time it gets to 8 degrees.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I mean, probably the most glaring thing right now is that the
Chiron, and Mars.
Well, yeah, that the transiting south node is on our progressed Mars, and Chiron, with Chiron on the north node, and we're having a Chiron return as well.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
I didn't do a Sibley with the solar eclipse, but the solar eclipse will be of
Right on it.
course, right on our Chiron.
And as I was saying to you before, in 73 was the last Chiron return. And that's the 73 was the, have you got the Yom? Yeah, you've got the Yom
I think I did.
Kippur.
I think I did put it in. Let's move to that one.
So that's the last Chiron return, and that was conjunct America's Chiron
Okay, yeah.
down. Yep. So there it is on the IC. And this is a well, it's a again.
This is
it's
a noon
chart.
chart, so
On the IC, but again, it's a world event because it was the Yom Kippur War,
right.
and
I don't remember that.
yeah, and that kicked off this whole, then there was the oil embargo of 73. So there was, I mean, this is really, and that just before that, it was 67. It wasn't just before, but 6 years before that sort of time period was built on the 6-Day War of 67, which was when they changed the whole shape of the boundaries with Palestine. The whole setup was changed really in Israel's favor. So, I mean, Palestine never stood a chance, really, of getting any autonomy because it's all been rigged in Israel's favor.
Oh, look at this. Jupiter was right where,
Wow. Yeah.
where Pluto is right
Yeah.
now.
That was, yeah, it's right there. And of course, opposite Israel's moon at 4-5 degrees Leo.
Oh, yeah.
That's when it was then. It was Jupiter and the moon opposite to Israel's moon.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But now you get Pluto there.
And-
So, I mean, I think that's a whole different ball game. Some people think that Israel's going to come out well of this. I don't think so. I don't
think so.
not
either.
with to the moon and every other factor. It's though it's now it's like Putin. It's bitten off more than it can chew, and it thinks it's it's full of hubris, and it thinks it's unbeatable. That it's got all the cards, particularly with the gas, like we said before, and the oil and all of that. And of course there was an oil embargo, as I just said, and there probably will be, or now all of this is about oil resources because of everything else, because the war in Ukraine, because oil is still very necessary. You can't stop using it. And so there's this huge battle going on under the surface. And Israel, since 1999, the oil fields, which we looked at last time in the last Astrospeak. And that's when there was a Chiron-Pluto conjunction in Sagittarius then. And that was really interesting to look at. And so that's when they found these oil fields off the coast of Israel and Gaza and Lebanon. And since then, they've been developing it. But Gaza was supposed, and at the time, Arafat said, who was a leader of Palestine, that it was God's gift to Palestine. Well, yeah, well, it's a two-edged sword. Well, it's a sword. It was really never a gift to Palestine. It's been a curse. Although I think that will turn eventually, but initially it's a curse because Israel has since then developed it with Britain and America involved. It's all been hush-hush. They've stolen the lot. And this really is all about the oil and the canal they're going to build to vie with the Suez, because they don't want to be dependent on the Suez anymore, and they need the oil. So they're basically using all this as an excuse to obliterate Palestine and Lebanon as well, because they're just going to take all their gas. They've taken their gas fields, but they don't really want anyone to see that. They're not going to have that broadcast, So it's all about the oil. And it seems like Chiron is very much to do, I guess it's resources, the wound. I mean, resources are power. And Chiron actually is the scapegoat. Why is there a scapegoat? It's always about power. And it's Chiron that has to sacrifice in order to save the world, save humanity from its own lust for power, and it's not realizing, like Prometheus, that Prometheus was, stealing the fire from the gods, was saying the hubris, full of hubris, saying that he was the skies were the limit, which is not, the gods are the same thing as the law of nature. It's about the natural law, just like Jordyn was saying. So you could say, if it goes against the law of the gods, it's against the law of nature. And that's what Prometheus did, although full of invention and wonderful, but not when knowing where to stop. And it was Chiron who had to sacrifice his take the punishment for Prometheus. And so it's all about resources. It's all about the scapegoat. It's all about the power plays. And that's what we're in now. And people need to see this for what it really is. But you've got the polarity. More than half don't. But those people who have sacrificed themselves, like in Russia, and there'll be others who are willing to stand up and be noticed about this. And people will start to get behind them because they'll have to see in the end, because we're going to find that our lives are going to be impacted by this. It's already begun. The prices, the resources. It's going to affect food supplies. It's going to affect oil. We're going to find things get tougher and tougher, and then that's when people really. I mean, they've started, and all this push for Palestine is part of that too. People willing to go out and protest and keep on protesting. It's just growing and growing. And that's all that Aquarian stuff. So it's interesting that that's one of its seeding times back in the Chiron, last time Chiron was at this place. And here we are with the eclipse.
Right, exactly on that spot,
Amazing.
the Chiron return.
And happening too, right over the USA and right over, it's interesting, over Texas, where the oil companies that are very heavily invested in this oil are as well. That's another facet of it.
That's
because
true.
Yeah.
And the
Incredible,
fact this just blows my mind that it's to the minute.
Isn't that? I know. I couldn't believe that when I saw that either.
Conjunction with Chiron.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it couldn't be more in your face, could it?
Yeah. No.
Extraordinary.
Yeah. No.
And squaring Ceres down there. That's 18 Capricorn, which is again, it's Demeter. It's the resources. Ceres is the wheat. It's the, it's food. It's supply.
I have Ceres at 20 degrees of Aries right on my IC.
Oh, wow. Okay. So how do you see that? Maybe you could be a sort of, campaigner. Barometer, campaigner. Yeah, I would think doing something to get involved in campaigns for that, maybe, food resources. There's going to be all sorts of problems with it all.
Well,
and people need to
and
be.
You also have Mars and Pisces. So, Mars and Pisces rules this, all of this stuff in Aries, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
exactly.
Here it is conjunct Saturn as well.
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's conjunct my ascendant too, and square my moon. And okay, I better get involved. We are involved as astrologers, but I think it's getting more and more. What can you do in the community as hands-on as well? But and as astrologers, we are. We need to do more. I guess. Yeah, more prominent. Astrology is growing, isn't it? It's getting out there, and particularly
I should motivate.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. So from that point of view, what do you think? I think it's, in the 7th house too, that's shining. It's the public, isn't it? It's the people, again, reflecting that Pluto in Aquarius, Chariklo in Aquarius as well, sextiling the eclipse and Chiron. And Chariklo, I don't know a lot about Chariklo, but she was a great healer, like Chiron, like we just said. Again, that's like Navalny's wife. She's the great mother figure. So it's, again, it's the feminine principle. It's the great mother. It's the end of the patriarchy. The mother is rising. And
she cared for Chiron when he couldn't be cured.
Right. Oh, right. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So she's, yeah. So she's a nurturer and a healer. And it's the wise woman, isn't it?
Yes, and
Oh.
also she signifies holding space for things to occur.
Really? Really?
Mhm.
Yeah. Fantastic. I have to find out more about that. I mean, I did write, I mean, this Melanie Reinhardt's book, but she doesn't mention Cheroklo much. She does mention Cheroklo, but
She's
I think
got
she's
some
written a
stuff
new
on
book.
her website, and
Yeah.
she's done a couple of talk. We actually have I think we have one that I posted that she did where she talks about, she calls it Cheroklu. I call it Cheroklo.
Well, it's
Whatever.
whatever. A
Yeah.
centaur, or she's not a centaur, is she? What is she then exactly? Because she's like
I
a,
thought she was a centaur. I mean,
I'm not sure she's a, I think she's like, because she was in the water, wasn't she? So she's like a water, not a nymph maybe, but she is associated with the water, which is interesting because of course water, it's so very Cancerian, I suppose, being the great nurturer and the mother
yeah.
figure. Yeah. So there's a lot of good there, but it's again with Sarah's right there, it just shows at the base of that, this is it. It's the fight over resources. And that's just going to get worse and worse. Supply and of everything. And yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
But in order
and caring
to
and nurturing as well. I mean,
Yeah.
with
Yes.
Cancer as the
Yeah.
polarity,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
square the nodes too.
Exactly. It's a real turning point, isn't it?
Mm.
It's a turning point, but I believe it's a positive
Another
turning
one.
point. Yeah, another one, but this is a huge. I mean, this is massive, isn't it?
Mm.
Right across America's chart, and with
Right.
conjunct Chiron, exactly, and squaring Sarah's down there. It is again about the people, with Pluto, Aquarius, turning the tide of it. But it could get to a crescendo then. It's like we are now, okay, the real turning point is how can we turn this back? I mean, it's got to be crisis, isn't it? It's like, I mean, it's all about war. It's Aries.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me. It is all.
Yeah, it is. It's
War
yeah,
and the
it's
consequences.
war and
Oh,
the
Neptune's going to go into Aries soon.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
But with
And
with Mars conjunct Saturn,
yeah,
do you suppose there are consequences, to be had?
yes. And Nessus is still there. Nessus will be what, at 18, 19 by then? It's the same.
Yeah, I
Won't have
think
moved
it-
much.
Yeah.
So Nessus will be there as well. Yes, revenge, power plays again. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're gonna see probably get worse before it gets better. But it has to, like you were saying, it has to get worse first. Unfortunately, nothing is going to wake people up to the extent that they need to be woken up. Like we're seeing Russia with Navalny now, that's going to grow momentum, and that's going to happen everywhere. The momentum is growing, but can it grow fast enough? Because the other side is growing too. The destruction is growing. The impetus, the push for power, the push for war is growing at the same time. So we are in this polarity. I mean, I suppose you could say that South Node Libra with the sun in Libra, a moon in Libra. What's that sun, moon, and Libra up there?
Oh, that was the sorry, that was the eclipse. That was the eclipse.
Yeah, of course. So you've got the eclipse in October, wasn't it? 14th.
Yes, this was the last one here.
This is the 6 month. Yeah, this will be the 6 months
Yeah,
since then.
these are like bookends, kind of. I mean, I
So,
thought it was interesting because they both, cross
that's
the
good
United
to put it
States.
like that. Yes. And that's when Israel Gaza kicked off. Yeah.
Right.
So
That's
we're
true.
now going to see the real consequences emerge in the next couple of months of that. And yeah, hopefully reach a crescendo then when you get the turning point. Which way it's going to go? Is it going to go to World War III, or is it going to get pulled back, reined in? And that's and Pluto's going retrograde by that time, isn't it? Again. Oh no, it's not. It's
Couple of years shall tell.
it goes June, doesn't it, in retrograde? So it's just after.
Yeah,
A couple of
it's direct here.
Yeah, so yeah, back in Capricorn. Yes, T-squaring those two eclipses. Yeah, the patriarchy up to its no good again, and really going for it. But Pluto's going to be then turn and go back again. So we're going to see a whole year of it getting worse and then hopefully pulled back. We'll get pulled back eventually.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
and I
Pluto's
think the momentum of Pluto and Aquarius is just starting to build.
yeah, it's
I
just
think that's
starting,
the
and now,
whole
but
backdrop.
And Pluto and Capricorn is still there. It's not giving up yet, but it's it's on its last leg,
Right.
and so's the patriarch. It's really over, just like it's over for Putin. But we're not seeing that yet. We're still seeing its explosion of, and we're going to see the explosion of thinking, Putin's not going to give up easily, and nor is the patriarchy.
Well, yeah,
And he's like,
and the
Pluto's still going to
timeline,
go back into Capricorn
yeah,
one more time.
exactly.
and
Until
the timeline is not, these things didn't happen overnight, and they're not going to go away overnight.
oh no, I mean the patriarchy's been for 2,000 years, so and more than that actually.
Yeah, easily.
More, actually, like 6,000 years. So it's not like, and this is a huge thing. It's as if this couldn't happen easily, as you say, because this is a massive change at the end of the age of Pisces. But then it is the end of the age of Pisces, and it is Pluto in Capricorn, signifying that. And so everything is signifying this is the end. But in the end, you get that, like the Antarctic degree, you get this huge upsurge of
Push
not
back.
giving in. Yeah, push. That's the word. Yeah. And they're going to be pushing back. But they are over, and they can't even, they need to know they're over. Not going to though, are they? They're not going to give up, but they're going to have to be.
The process.
Yep, it is. But it's great to know that. It's great to know that whatever happens and whatever. Big picture. Yeah, it's good in the long run. We just have to sustain and hail the great mother. Go for it. Yeah, embody the Christ consciousness.
Do we want to save the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction for next
I don't know.
time?
Do you want to say a quick word about it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What did you want to say? Yeah. I mean, that, again, that's
It's a big thing. I think maybe we should save it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
There's a lot to say about that.
I mean, really, that is Jupiter Uranus is, again, it's like takeoff, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's the culmination of the last one that was in actually Pisces, the end of Pisces and the beginning of Aries was the last Jupiter-Uranus conjunction.
Right.
And so it's like the ending of that cycle and then the seeding of a new one.
Yes.
When
was that?
In Taurus. 13 years ago, probably. They happen about every 13 years.
Yeah, the same as the Jupiter cycle. Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, the Jupiter cycle plus one sign, usually, because it's kind of in the next sign, usually.
Exactly.
We'll hopefully see a lot of new innovation.
Yeah, new innovation, but also it's, again, Uranus. I mean, that's the ruler of Aquarius. So again, it's again, Jupiter impetus, there's impetus then again for change, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Facing the truth of our resources and our values.
Yeah, we've got to get the values right, and know that resources are not, there's going to be this massive tussle over them, and we need to stop fighting each other for them and cooperate. God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
so
that's-
yes.
I
Sorry.
think this is going to be the pushback,
And it's in Taurus too, isn't it? That other, yeah, it's in Taurus. So again, resources. It's about resources, yeah. And yeah.
Values.
And as you say, Robin, again, immigration, people, and Jordyn was saying that. People migrate because, yeah.
They have to.
Resources and
For
weather.
survival.
And war. Great.
Yeah, it's survival.
Yeah, survival. Mm-hmm.
People aren't migrating because they want to. They're migrating because they have to.
Oh, look, Venus is on the degree of the eclipse.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Oh, right, conjunct Chiron. Oh, God.
And
Yeah.
Mercury's pretty close. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
think the good news may be that, we'll start talking about some of these things. Also.
It's started already. It's starting. The realization that this has to change because we're on the,
Right.
we're on the destruction
Be
right now.
having a Venus square and a Mars return at the same
Yeah.
time.
Oh, right. Yeah, wow. Oh my God. So yeah, it's all kicking off, but then it has to, as you say, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until it's fulfilled its cycle and it's over. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well,
That was great. That was really good.
That was
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, really good. And all the input and everything. Hang in there, guys.
Yes.
Fine on the night.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much,
Thank you,
Michaela
Sue.
and Robin and everybody else that was here. It was a really good discussion. I enjoyed it.
Me too.
Me
Fantastic.
too.
And we'll look forward to the next one in approximately 2 months.
Oh, yes. Just when
That
all
will be April.
that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
A lot
and
of
we can
about
talk
that.
more about the
Yeah, we'll
Jupiter
see.
Uranus, because I'm
what's
sure
affect-
there'll be plenty more to show.
Yeah, it's
It'll
funny.
be
There was a
active.
song, just to mention, lastly, there was a song by Imagine Dragons. They're great, aren't they? That's just come out called Children of the Sky. Yeah, and that just sort of epitomizes Jupiter Uranus to me, Children of the Sky, which is like children of the sky, realizing that you're you are of the universe. You are the children, you are the collective, the individuals that make up the collective, and that's your power. So it's like people realizing their power as individuals and collective.
Wow.
So I thought, yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounds lovely.
Yeah. The songs do that. They come out like, films. The timing shows the facet of what's happening and what's coming.
Yeah, a reflection of the
Yes.
cosmos.
Good. Of course, everything.
Yeah, we all
Thank
are.
you. Yes. A facet, little facets, powerful
Okay.
facets.
See
Thank you so
next
much,
time.
guys. Fantastic.
Till next time. Thank you.
Thank